If despite all your efforts, you work hard, do everything you're supposed to, stay consistent, and still don't make progress, it's not a problem of motivation, discipline, or even your goals. In reality, if all your efforts aren't paying off, you have a deeper problem. You have a problem with your system. And I'm going to explain it to you. This is one of the most important lessons I learned from one of my mentors when I started out in business. He told me amateurs have goals, professionals have systems, and it took me a long time to understand that, to know what I'm talking about, what exactly these systems are, and what will make the difference. If you think you just need even more goals instead, well, listen carefully to what I have to say. Welcome, this is Johan Yangting. I'm the author of the book Regain Your Time and Energy. And for over 15 years now, I have been supporting, training, and advising people on organization and productivity, always with an approach based on self-awareness, respecting your own rhythms and how you function, so you can have an organization that aligns with who you are. And so there's less forcing things. You can't talk about organization without talking about goals, because the first thing that comes up as soon as we talk about productivity is you need goals. And then what do people say? Smart goals, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. That means you have to set deadlines for them. If you do that, you have good goals, which actually isn't even true. And on top of that, goals are supposed to be extremely important. They have to be ambitious. You always need to have clarity about them. You have to write them down to achieve them. That's all well and good, but do you know what question I get asked the most? It's one you ask yourself. It's, did I set the right goals? Are they well balanced enough? Are they ambitious? Are they realistic? Are these goals, well, I can't set new ones because even if I follow them, I can't reach them, or else they are too easy. And also, once the goal is achieved, what do I do next? I've reached this financial milestone, or I've achieved this goal, I've accomplished that. And then afterwards, I feel empty and it wasn't enough. That shows there's a problem. It shows that it's not enough. Because actually, what is a goal? A goal in the end is a direction. It's your compass. When you have a compass, when you set it down, it points north. If you use it with a map, there you go. You know the goal is to get there. I have my compass and I know which direction we're going to take. That's easy. But the question is, between where you are and the destination, what happens? There's a path, there's a process. This path, this process, what do we put in place? What vehicle do I choose to reach the destination? Which path am I going to take? How am I going to equip myself with resources for the journey? How am I maybe going to dress? Are we going to take a lot of resources? What do I need to organize a trip? Actually, it's the whole process that will lead to the destination. And for this process, we're going to establish regularity. Every day, we're going to cover some distance. We're going to put things in place to reach the destination. So either it's a regular goal and we take a path every day, or it's just once. But in both cases, you need that famous system. It's like business. It's good to say, I'm aiming for this revenue. Many aim for 10,000 euros a month. In France, 10,000 euros a month. Listen, that's the goal people have. Or maybe it's a yearly goal or a million, whatever. That's the objective. There's a number. But the question is, what is the system that allows you to achieve those numbers? So I'm aiming for 10,000 euros this month. Okay, well, I do a launch. I sell a product for 1,000 euros to 10 people. There you go. I do a launch, I do a webinar and everything. Let's say I've got 100 people at the webinar. Out of those 100, 10 buy. Those 10 pay for my product at 1,000 euros each. I've made my 10,000. Cool. What happens the following month? I've seen this a lot with my clients. I've done it once, but how do I repeat it? That's where it gets interesting. You've managed to hit the goal once. Now, how do you repeat it? And that's the thing, even in sports. Well, you can win a match, you can lose one, but how do you maximize your wins, your game systems, your training, and so on? In sports, what are systems? It's a goal. The system is all the training you put in place, the whole routine to reach your goal. If you're going to run a marathon, what's your routine? What's your system to be able to run the marathon at your best possible performance? That's what a system is. So the goal, yes, is the compass. It's the destination with all the emotional aspects, the vision and everything. But the system is the vehicle, is the fuel, is the speed indicators, so the performance metrics and all that. It's everything that gets you to the destination. And of course, we are often in a vehicle. It's true that our body is a vehicle, as they say. So the system we have within us keeps us alive to follow the path of life. So it's a beautiful metaphor. In fact, the system is the entire process that brings you toward your goal, that repeats and develops them. I hope you've understood me so far. And so that actually answers the question of, oh, but I need to discipline myself, I need motivation. But that discipline, that motivation needs to be applied to the system. I've actually already made a video about when you feel lazy or just don't feel like it. Honestly, go check it out. I'll put it in the description if you want some tips on procrastination, discipline, and so on. But here we're going to focus on these systems. So what is a system? Well, it's exactly what I did with automation. There's always a trigger, what we call the triggerites, what sets things off. It's the starting point of the system. For example, when someone signs up for my newsletter, that triggers the system. Then it's a process sequence with a set of steps. So the set of steps might be that the person receives the first email or a sequence, then we contact them and so on. In short, it's everything we set up behind the scene. And finally, we have measurement, tracking to see how well it's performing, what the results are, what is the goal of the system. The goal is to maximize the open rate and retention rate. What indicators will we have? Open rates, click rates, and for example, how long people stay subscribed. And maybe the conversion rate on the offer later. So we will measure. That means my system has different steps. That's what a system is. It's that we have a trigger, we trigger something, we have the whole process, the specific steps, the procedure, and then at the end we measure because every system has a goal. But actually we do this in life too. For example, those who have their coffee in the morning, that's kind of the trigger, that's the system. It's I have my coffee, I wake up, and maybe after that I do a bit of reading, or you start your morning routine, you do your morning task. That's the system. When you go to the gym, the trigger is I open my appointment app or on my watch, I start the activity. My process, I do my exercises, I follow my workout session at a specific time, on a specific date, at a specific place. It's very precise, and I track it. I track my heart rate, the calories burned, and so on. In short, whatever I want to measure. You see, there are plenty of examples, but the idea is always that a system has to work like that. A system by definition needs to be as smooth as possible, as simple as possible, as precise as possible, and let's say as replicable as possible. You should be able to explain it. And that's actually why it answers this ultimate question. Why aren't you where you want to be yet? Because you haven't put the right system in place. If you put the right system in place, whether in business, in your personal life, or in sports generally, if you follow it properly and track your progress, you'll see improvement and get closer to where you want to go. And that's often what's missing for most people. That's why when I want to get inspired by someone, I don't just look at their results and goals, I look at their system. I try to see their routine, what tools they use, what they do regularly, how they think, and so on. If you manage to get the system 7 in business, if you break them down, the systems, the processes in business, it's really interesting. That's where you learn so much more. And the advantage of systems is that they also lighten your mental load. It also helps reduce decision fatigue. Because when you systematize, you have fewer decisions to make and less to repeat each time. Because in fact, the system is supposed to repeat what works. That's why it's important to have a system where you measure to see if it's effective and keep it running, or if the system doesn't work, you change it. And if the system can be optimized to go faster, we'll put that in place. So a system also has this aspect of optimization. A system is supposed to remain efficient. If a system makes you waste time or just makes you lose, you need to fix it. It means it's broken. And the advantage when you have a system is that, of course, like any system, you can optimize it. So you save time thanks to that. You can delegate it, you can automate it, and actually automation is based on thinking in terms of systems. That's what I do regularly. When I want to automate something, I think about what the system is and how to automate it. And if it's not just robots doing it, there are humans or AIs and so on. So that's how it works. And really, it's a broad topic, but I just wanted you to keep that in mind. When you want to go further, whether it's in business, in life, whatever it may be, you shouldn't just think in terms of goals. You need to think in terms of, okay, that's where we want to go, but what system are we putting in place and what does that system trigger? What is the process? What do we measure to optimize it? That's what I often do with my clients. I help them create their own ecosystem, in this case, one that is self-sustaining, and a system both at the level of their personal organization, professional life, and their business. And that's how we move forward. And when the system is in place, when you have the fundamental sand, actually, people think it's complicated, but it actually relieves you, it frees you because everything becomes clear. A system should be simple. And when the system is in place, you can focus on your zone of genius. You focus on optimization, vision, improvement, and everything is about progressing the system. So the artist has systems that make them creative, that inspire them, and even if it's a bit less, it's less regular, there are still these systems for their creativity, for their process, their writing, their way of doing things, no matter the artist style. It's a system in some way. Those who write have systems. Businesses have systems. Athletes have systems. You need to have a system to level up. That's the message that needed to be conveyed. How do you set up a system? In the description, I already show you at least how to have an organizational ecosystem, an organizational system to save time and make progress on what matters to you. And well, for that too, if you don't have the little book yet, order Eat It will give you some good insights on how to create all this according to your own profile, because systems will be different depending on each person's profile. So go check it out if you want to know more, and don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care of yourself. See you very soon.